Hello friends, I am Mr. Dongre NT from Sri Urdeshwar Junior College, Tisgaon. Here today we are going to study about a short history of English drama. In the last lecture we have studied about history of English drama, its introduction, what is drama, then the elements of drama, objective of drama, types of drama, tragedy, comedy, tragic comedy, then the elements of drama. Now, today in this lecture, we are going to study in detail about the short history of drama. Firstly, we have to introduce English theatre. Friends, drama has its origin in folk theatre. Folk theatre means people in general. Drama has its origin in people's theatre, people's short performance in theatre. We therefore cannot consider drama merely as a part of literature. We can't consider drama as only literature, but drama is something more than literature, because words are the medium of literature as an art, but the drama is a multiple art using words, scenic effects, music, gestures of the actors and the organizing talents of producer. It means that more than literature, drama has all these things: scenic effects, musics, gestures of the actors and the organizing talents of producer. Dramatist, the one who writes drama, is called dramatist, must have players, a stage and an audience. It means dramatist or a drama needs players, stage and audience. These are the basic elements of drama. The beginning of drama in England are obscure, means uncertain, not clear. Beginning of drama in England, it was not clear. There is evidence to believe that when the Romans were in England, they established host amphitheaters, means type of theatre, surrounding area of audience near the theatre for the production of plays. For the production of plays, there were amphitheaters. But when the Romans departed, means Romans gone, their theatres departed with them, their theatres, their type of dramas were also gone with them. Then there were minstrels. Minstrels means traveling musician and singer. They were traveling from one place to another place, and people were enjoying their theatre. People were enjoying their performance, their programs, singers' programs. Gradually, by the 10th century, the ritual of the plays that itself had something dramatic in it, and they got extended into the rudiment of the play. Rudiment means the simplest and most basic facts. Between 13th and 14th century, drama started having themes. Before it, drama had not themes. But in 13th and 14th century, drama started having themes which were separated from religion. It means that there was not impact of religion in themes of drama. The words themselves were spoken in English. A longer dramatic script came into use, means the script was longer, and they were called miracle plays. In miracle plays, script was longer. Later, these religious dramas were the morality plays, in which characters were abstract, vices and virtues. These were allegories. It means morality plays. In morality plays, characters were abstract, vices and virtues. Morality plays teaches us what to good and what to bad, what is good and what is bad, how to behave and how not to behave. In short, okay. Hello students. In comedy, Johnson's genius is found at its best and his influence was considerable. It means Johnson's genius, his power was very best. It was at its best. He was at the top and his influence was considerable. It means it was making us to think. The Restoration dramatist leaned strongly upon him. It means that he was at the forefront of all these people, all these dramatists in his contemporary period. Closing of theatres by the Puritans in 1642. It means closing of theatres by the Puritans in 1642 brought this greatest of all periods in the history of English drama to an end. And what happened then? With the Civil Wars, no theatre existed between 1642 to 1660. It means that with the Civil Wars, no theatre existed there. All were gone. The next phase, which appeared after the Restoration, produced a very different kind of a dramatic literature. Dramatists like Chapman, Thomas Middleton, Webster, and Dekker were at the forefront. All these were at the forefront means at the head. They were the head of this era. When Charles II came back with the Restoration of 1660, the theatres were reopened, means good days came again to the theatres. The Restoration comedy achieved its peculiar excellence. Drama developed into class drama with upper class ethos. Upper class ethos. Ethos means morality or principles. It lasted means reached beyond this period into the first decade of 18th century means till 1710. Comedy in the early 18th century declined into sentimentalism means feelings. It became comedy of manners. It means the comedy which teaches us manners, how to behave, what to do, what not to do. Is George Etheridge was its most important exponent. From each depth, the drama was rescued by Oliver Goldsmith and Richard Sheridan. With Sheridan was rescued by Sheridan, something of the brilliance of Restoration dialogue written into comedy. Sheridan bring some Restoration dialogue again into comedy, but with more genial atmosphere. The characters were firmly presented with clarity. Reminiscent means reminding of Johnson. Means the characters were firmly presented with clarity and they were reminding us or the people of Johnson. But with no depth in Sheridan's world, no new interpretation of human nature. There was no interpretation of human nature. In this, he was nearer to the Oscar Wilde than to Johnson's. Our second point is Elizabethan and Restoration theatre. These secular morality plays have direct links with Elizabethan plays. Renaissance imposed means forced a learned tradition, classically in depth with themes of education, general moral problems and secular politics. It means Renaissance means revival of these dramas, plays forced to a learned tradition, learned people, classical in depth with themes. It means that these plays were the theme of the plays were very deep and it was teaching education. General moral problems, it was solving general moral problems and secular politics. The plays had nothing to do with religion. It means that the theme of the plays which was not related to the religion. The impact of religion was not on the play or theme of the play. There were examples of both comedy and tragedy in those days. Comedy and tragedy were into use. Thomas Pitt, Christopher Marlowe, and William Shakespeare are the prime dramatists of this era. It means that who were there? Thomas Pitt, Christopher Marlowe, and William Shakespeare were the main dramatists in this time. It was Quid. Who was Quid? Who discovered how easily blank verse might be converted into a useful theatrical medium, which Shakespeare used brilliantly in all his plays. He copied him. Tragedy developed in the hands of Quid and Marlowe. Who developed tragedy? Quid and Marlowe. Comedy had also proceeded beyond rustic humor. Rustic humor means the humor which was created in rural area by rural people, uneducated people mostly. But by the 90s of the 16th century, the theatre in England was fully established, but complicated conditions govern the activities of the dramatist. It means that due to the complicated conditions, the dramatist's activities were changing. The public theatre of 16th century differed in many important ways from the modern theatre. Public theatre of 16th century were differed from modern theatre in many aspects. Like public theatres were open to sky without artificial lighting. The stage was raised platform with the recess means corner, at the back supported by the pillars. It means the theatres were open to sky. There was not artificial lighting. Means public theatre were without artificial lighting. The stage was raised platform and there was a corner and it was supported by the backside by pillar. There was no curtain like today or like modern theatre. In those days there was no curtain, means piece of cloth, and the main platform could be surrounded on the three sides by the audience were from the three sides. Around the theatre there were galleries. Galleries were there around the theatre. In the 17th century, the enclosed theatre gained importance. It means in 17th century, theatres were enclosed. There was increasing attention to scenic device as theatre became private. It means that more emphasis was given to scenic device and theatre become private. Shakespearean era came into existence in the 16th century. To the public theatre, it means Shakespearean era came into existence in 16th century to the public theatre. He wrote for the contemporary theatre. It means that for the performance he was writing. Like the demand, he was creating his drama, manipulating the Elizabethan stage with great resource and invention. But the genius of Shakespeare should not allow the rest of the drama of his age to be obscure. It was Shakespeare was very genius dramatist, and he did not allow the rest of the drama in his dramatist of his age to be obscured. Contemporary to him who were there was Ben Jonson, who was classicist, a moralist and reformer of drama. Yes, power. Odds very best. It was at its best. He was at the top, and his influence was considerable. It means it was making us to think. The Restoration dramatist leaned strongly upon him. It means that he was at the forefront of all these people, all these dramatists in his contemporary period. Closing of theatres by the Puritans in 1642. It means closing of theatres by the Puritans in 1642 brought this greatest of all periods in the history of English drama to an end. And what happened then? With the Civil Wars, no theatre existed between 1642 to 1660. It means that with the Civil Wars, no theatre existed there. All were gone. The next phase, which appeared after the Restoration, produced a very different kind of a dramatic literature. Dramatists like Chapman, Thomas Middleton, Webster, and Dekker were at the forefront. All these were at the forefront means at the head. They were the head of this era. When Charles II came back with the Restoration of 1660, the theatres were reopened, means good days came again to the theatres. The Restoration comedy achieved its peculiar excellence. Drama developed into class drama with upper class ethos. Upper class ethos. Ethos means morality or principles. It lasted means reached beyond this period into the first decade of 18th century means till 1710. Comedy in the early 18th century declined into sentimentalism means feelings. It became comedy of manners. It means the comedy which teaches us manners, how to behave, what to do, what not to do. Is George Etheridge was its most important exponent. From each depth, the drama was rescued by Oliver Goldsmith and Richard Sheridan. Which Sheridan was rescued by Sheridan, something of the brilliance of Restoration dialogue written into comedy. Sheridan bring some Restoration dialogue again into comedy, but with more genial atmosphere. The characters were firmly presented with clarity. Reminiscent means reminding of Johnson. Means the characters were firmly presented with clarity and they were reminding us or the people of Johnson. But with no depth in Sheridan's world, no new interpretation of human nature. There was no interpretation of human nature. In this, he was nearer to the Oscar Wilde than the John. Than to we have John. A short chart of a history of a drama. We have periods in history, then types of plays. Classics means name of the plays. Our first medieval period, we have first period, that is medieval period. It begins in 11th and ends in 15th century. It is called reign of Henry VI. In those days, the types of plays were didactic plays, mystery plays, miracle plays, cycle plays, morality plays. Then Robin Hood by Howard Pyle, Everyman, etc. were the plays in those days. We have then very short chart of history of a drama. In this chart, we have three topics: periods in history, types of plays in particular periods in history, and then plays which were written. First period is a medieval period. It begins in 11th century and ends in 15th century. It is the reign of Henry VI. Didactic plays, mystery plays, miracle plays, cycle plays, morality plays were the plays in this period. Robin Hood by Howard Play and Everyman are the classics or plays in this period. Second period is Renaissance period. It is started in 1600 and ends in 1700, and it is the reign of Elizabeth I and James I. Types of plays or the drama written in this period or performed in this period is tragic comedy, melancholy play, and revenge plays. Romeo and Juliet, it is a tragedy. Midsummer Night's Dream, it is comedy. Henry II, historical by Shakespeare. Dr. Faustus and Jew of Malta by Christopher Marlowe. Duchess of Malfi by John Webster. The Changeling by Thomas Middleton. Third period is known as Restoration period. It is started from 1660 onwards and it is the reign of Charles II. Types of plays in those days were the heroic drama, patriotic drama, restoration comedy. All for Love, tragedy by John Dryden, and The Way of the World, it is comedy by William Congreve, are the plays in those days. Victorian period, its duration is from 1837 to 1901. It is the reign of Queen Victoria, and all types of plays were performed in those days during this period. The Importance of Being Earnest by Oscar Wilde, Candia by G.B. Shaw, A Doll's House, and Enemy of the People, both are by Henrik Ibsen. Then the fifth period is known as Modern period. Its duration is from 1901 to 1945, and the types of plays during this time were Stream of Consciousness, absurd plays, poetic drama, radio drama, and Pygmalion by G.B. Shaw, Murder in the Cathedral, this is the poetic drama by T.S. Eliot, and last period is known as postmodern era. Its duration is from 1945 to 2000, and types of plays in this period are almost all types of dramas were performed, and kitchen sink dramas are also performed during this period. Look Back in Anger by John Osborne, Waiting for Godot by Samuel Beckett are the plays during this period. Friends, I hope that you will listen carefully and study it carefully. Thank you.